Hello, everyone. Money Mobsters 23, Michael Jordan money number. Dougie, it's been a minute since we talked over markets and whatnot. We had a stock draft last week. It went great. My fiance's in second place, so she's beating most of us, which is hilarious, I think. But yeah, what's going on? How are you?
Doing good. I really had a blast last week. Meeting some new folks and in the chat and in the draft, and just thought it was a good time.
It was, and I think I don't want to speak for everybody, but I'm going to kind of speak for everybody. I think there's not a single person who was either in that draft or watched that draft that didn't learn about at least 5 new companies that they've never heard of.
For sure.
Yeah.
So we didn't have any super crazy small cap random biotechs either. It was all everybody seemed like, oh, okay, that's a legit public company.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, there was definitely some names on the smaller side, but they weren't waiting on FD approval or bust.
Right.
Yeah. And then reverse split after reverse split after reverse split. So we've got a good amount to catch up on here. We were going to talk about, of course, the current political climate around data centers. We were going to talk a little bit about the chips versus Mag 7 debate that continues to swirl right in the center of the NASDAQ 100. We're going to talk a little bit about space and how Dougie actually thinks that the space flush out is a not story. So we're going to hear him break that down. Anthropic IPO continues to roll down the field here. So we're going to see what that looks like, as well as what we're going to lead off with, which is the Kevin Warsh testimony. New Fed chair, obviously big deal. It's a position that I think a lot of people who have been in the market for a long time understand the importance of. People who are newer to the market, you can find out quickly from listening to what they say, or you can find out the hard way by ignoring what they say. So the famous saying, "Don't fight the Fed."
Yeah.
So what was your big takeaway, Dougie, with the testimony? Do you just want to expand upon what you noticed about the testimony, what areas that he made sure to mention, how he handled himself, etc.?
Well, I'll start with the last one first. I thought he handled himself really well. He has a very hostile other half of the aisle, who really, I think, just want to say the president's name as many times as they can in their testimony, as if that has somehow related to Warsh's job. One of the things that they seemed to really try to hammer him on today was, how often do you talk to the president, or do you talk to the president? As if the chairman of the Federal Reserve shouldn't talk to the president of the United States. Is that what they're implying? I'm unsure.
Well,
but they clearly made it seem like he should not have any communication with the president.
Right.
So I remain unconvinced of the sincerity of the other side of the aisle, and I wish they would just play ball, call balls and strikes, and give the guy who's been on the job for 7 weeks a little bit of benefit of the doubt, without trying to without trying to make him take a pledge of non-loyalty.
Sure. Yeah, they're trying to separate him from the president by intentionally asking questions that make him either save himself or throw himself under the bus and make himself look stupid. Just in the framing of the questions, it's like the famous example. Well, how long have you been hitting your wife? Right? There's not really a good way of answering that question, because the way that the question is constructed is designed to make you seem like an asshole no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I I think that was Kennedy's point where he had mentioned as well that that you're not meant to be banned from talking to the president. It's kind of a silly thing to say. Like, why would two government officials who are both simultaneously in certain ways leading the nation's economy, why would they not want to share information and work together to guide the country in the right direction? That's rather silly.
Especially because he needs to be, and he several times today, speaking with the Senate, and maybe yesterday with the House as well, he made a point of saying, I'm not here to do monetary policy. That's the president's job. I'm here to manage the Fed. And I'm just like, well, that's a breath of fresh air. Somebody understanding what their lane is who intends to stay in it. At least that's what he's saying in his testimony. Who knows? I don't know the job well enough to be able to say, oh, he's not doing what he said he was going to do. But I think he is. And right now I'm willing to grant the benefit of the doubt there. But Jackson, I agree. I thought he was calm and collected. I really only thought one time he got a bit flustered. But it was one of those questions, like you said, Austin, where it was like, okay, well, you framed a question and I can't really answer it. But they always want like a yes or no. Will you quit if the president tells you you're fired? I'm like, you guys ask J-Pal that every day, during every testimony for how many years, and now it's my turn to not answer the same question? Like,
well, no, they weren't asking J-Pal. They were asking Trump, will you guarantee that you won't try to fire J-Pal? They ask that every single day. So,
but you did mention Joe Kennedy's questioning, and I got to tell you, man, I was a little disappointed with the senator. He stated that it was a given as part of his question that he says, okay, we know what inflation comes from, and he said inflation comes from AI. And I think that moves us on to maybe our next topic.
And he said, duh, right?
Huh?
And he said, duh, right after that, right? Inflation
right. Yep.
comes from AI, duh. And it's like, hold on, definitely not duh.
So that brings us to the next point of the data centers. And bro, I got to tell you, I think being anti-data center is the new mask during COVID.
Okay. That was a Chamath take, right?
It's pretty close. Man, speaking of Chamath, gosh, I hate that I agree with that guy, but he had a really good interview. If you haven't watched it yet, I think it was about an hour long. So we're not going to cover it all here, but
I've not watched it, but he did talk about a topic that we'll get to in a minute, which is the TARP thing.
But look, I mean, if everybody's banning data centers, then we're not going to build them. So this seems like in my mind, this seems like a structural attack now on it's a mass hysteria attack that they've used social media to memify.
Yes.
The idea that data centers are bad, they're the equivalent of fracking. Like the data center are just going to poison us and destroy our quality of life. No data centers here. No data. So it's not just New York. It's also like rural counties in Texas that are banning data centers,
and the whole state of Florida.
Yeah, and the state of Florida. So it's like, which side can be more populist? So it's not a red or blue thing. It's like they're both racing to say who can be the most anti-AI. And that is it's a big misstep by Team Red, in my opinion, because I mean, that's basically what the current president ran on, was AI and the benefits and the trickle down of the economy growing from AI and the AI build out. So if we stop the AI build out in its tracks, then none of the jobs and none of the economic activity will move down to the blue collar people, and it will just stay in all of the contracts that are being written where you're buying something from someone who has 80% margins, which means 80% of the money goes to the fat cats at the company and doesn't actually go to building stuff or buying equipment from Caterpillar or employing welders and the AC guys, which is what we thought this whole thing was supposed to be about 24 months ago.
Right. Yeah, it's been quite a turn of events, because we've been doing data centers in this country for years and years, and the old ones are less water efficient than the new ones. There's been a lot of misinformation that's been already proven. Like, they found money links between a lot of the social media posts and bots coming from adversarial countries.
Yep.
Like the amount of misinformation, particularly around energy use and prices and water. So there's a Trump tweet that I wanted to find here.
I mean, it was so bad that the president already announced they have to build their energy behind the
correct
the breaker.
Yeah, so he's already addressed that problem. He's saying, hey, you guys are going to have to pay for your own energy. And then the other thing is, a lot of people just have the information wrong about electricity prices. So the states that have been doing a lot of data center construction, like Tennessee and Indiana, Michigan, Louisiana, Texas, they actually haven't seen a substantial electricity increase. And there's a chart that I was going to try to find here. Meanwhile, like a lot of the states that are just banning everything, that are degrowthers, like Washington, are seeing electricity go up. So there's actually our friend Melanie, she sent me an article, or she was telling me about how a lot of people in her circle are not fans of data centers because they're seeing their electricity prices go up. And it's not because of the data center. That's just the fall man they framed a picture of him holding a knife as the data center. But the actual reality is that we just know that their anti-energy policies have crushed the supply. And that's why, the price has gone up. With the water, they're just totally wrong about the amount of water that it actually uses. One data center uses less water than a golf course. And I don't see people out there protesting golf courses every single day.
Yeah, the water is recycled.
Yeah, the new ones, that they have a closed loop system, so they barely use any water.
Just like a water-cooled PC that anyone who, I guess most people have never even heard of that, but hardcore gamers and people who, may have heard of NVIDIA before 2022 knew about water-cooled PCs and water-cooled graphics. You're just flowing water through your system to cool it down.
Okay, so here's the Trump tweet. So I'll go full screen here. This came out after Hochul of New York, governor of New York, put a 1-year moratorium. And, 2 years ago, there's a tweet showing that.
Oh, you need to show that one too.
Okay.
Actually, can you show that one first before we read this, so you set the.
There we go.
Oh,
there we go. All right, we're back. I suck at driving this thing. All right. Let's find
show that tweet first to kind of level set everything, and then we'll move to the president's.
Okay. Let me try to tee this up here. Ray and Michelle on vacation in Europe. That looks like so much fun. They're sending us fun train pictures and snacks.
Yeah. They're living their best lives.
They're living their best life. Oh, nope, not that one. Hold on. Whoa. Not that one. That's the wrong tab. We wanted this one. So this is January 24. We're creating Empire AI, state-of-the-art AI computing center in upstate New York to make us the national leader in AI research and innovation! with partners in academia and the private sector, will bring jobs to New York and unlock AI opportunities focused on public good.
2 years later.
As data center development threatens to hike up utility bills, deplete our natural resources, and create uncertainty for New Yorkers, it's my responsibility to take action and lead, Hochul said. So we're addressing the utility bills, and I'm going to find a chart here that supports that here in a second. But the natural resources we just covered with the water.
Exactly what natural resources are. I mean, data centers are like the easiest thing you can do. Okay, they take in electricity and they use a little bit of water, a finite, like a limited amount.
And we all use.
Would you rather than build an auto plant? Oh, that's going to bring a lot of jobs. Yeah. Do you have any idea the amount of heavy trucks that are going to be driving through the neighborhood, moving, and the railroad that's going to have to be constructed to bring in materials? Data center is the easiest business in the world.
So here's another image I have, because there's a lot of fear around the topic of AI, because Dario and Sam they blew it, dude. Let's be honest.
They did. Yep.
They blew it with the PR. And they told everyone that they were going to lose their jobs because they're pursuing regulatory capture, which is their right to do. Go for it. But, this is what happened in Austin and Atlanta before and after they launched autonomous vehicles. What do you notice about the number of rides? They went up. So everyone's saying that, okay, anything automated is just going to cause job losses. We've been talking about this theoretically now for over 24 months. Where are the job losses? Where are they? Because so far, the only thing that we've actually seen is, American workers getting laid off and then replaced by H-1B workers, Microsoft. Yeah. But the actual data tells a different story. And I know David Sachs is in the administration, and it's his angle to have to argue that, but I think he's done a really good job defending that point, as has Freeberg.
Yeah. I don't think the average person listens to the All In podcast, though.
Okay. Well,
and they've been so right coded lately. I mean, it's hard to listen to JCal, but they've been generally right coded. That doesn't mean that they're wrong. It just means that they have or they're perceived to be right coded. That they've lost the attention of half the country at a minimum. So
something that a lot of people listen to is the president. So we'll take another stab at this now that we've teed it up a little bit better. So this is a tweet from DJT. One of the biggest driving forces in the future for jobs are data centers. They are big, strong, bold, and money machines for the state in which they are built. Governor Kathy Hochul, for political reasons, has terminated all data center being built in New York State. These companies are now being sought in Alabama, Florida, Texas, Arizona, and many other states. Both the taxes and the jobs amount to liquid gold. New York State has made a terrible decision. All this income and other benefits will be going to the red states and some blue, where data centers are sought as cash cows with lower taxes and record-setting jobs. They must pay for their own water and power. So he's even now including water here, which I think is new, unless I stand corrected. And any leftover goes back to state and local community. Data centers are tremendous wins for the states and communities they are lucky enough to get them. New York should change its policy immediately, all caps. The radical left Democrats, here he goes again with Democrats, must not be allowed to cause us to lose data centers, AI, and all this incredible new technology to China and other countries. Donald President J. Trump.
Yeah, but his problem is the first governor that I know that banned data centers was actually
DeSantis.
Florida. DeSantis in Florida. No mention of him being dumb. Now I generally have a lot of respect for him as just an operator. But I think that's a terrible it's a terrible populist political take. Terrible.
I saw some rumblings on that Florida actually just doesn't have the ability. I don't know why, but I read that they don't have, and I'll have to look into it further, but they don't have the ability to scale their grid at all. I guess just they don't have what it takes to be able to do that in the same way that Texas can. so they're just not competitive. And this is him appealing to the populist in the same way that like the left is. He's just appealing to those populists that are buying all of this junk.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting because like there's more than one political reason that a politician would jump on the Luddite train. Here is the chart referencing the amount of load growth and the price change for cents per kilowatt hour. So, your x-axis here is what percentage they're actually growing. Basically, the amount of load that state can utilize, and then obviously the y-axis is going to be your price there. All the states that are data center states are seeing, and on the right-hand side of the chart, that load growth, right? Yeah. Even states that the president directly mentioned, like Arizona and Texas, and they are seeing less price changes than states like Maine, New York, and California that are taking anti-growth stances. And the comparison that this reminds me a lot is actually nuclear energy. That's the comparison I want to make. I feel like people are just being scared shitless to not having nuclear energy.
Yeah. Well, we've refused to build more power generation for the most part, outside of wind and solar, which is freaking insane that we spend so much money on wind. The Texas AG has I don't know. Let me look this up real quick. So I want to make sure I get this correct. But the Texas Attorney General he's gone after or banned a company from selling, he's not stopped them from selling. Let me look this up.
Okay. Yeah, I do find it interesting. Like if you go talk to people who don't know about stocks and finance and business and technology, like go ask some of your cousins, your families, your brothers, whoever, ask them what they think about these data centers, and you'll just find out that if they've just been ingesting Instagram reel slop for the last 2 years, that they're going to be very anti-AI.
Yep. Well, the funny thing is they're ingesting the AI that is generating the anti-AI. Okay,
yeah,
here's the story.
They're so ignorant on the topic, they don't even realize that they're using the AI data centers that much.
Yeah. Well, they don't realize that they're being influenced by people using the data centers to tell them to not build the data centers. So here's the story. The Texas AG has a temporary injunction against a company called Fiberglass Solutions because he says they are essentially illegally dumping hazardous materials, meaning that, and by illegally dumping, I mean they have 3,000 wind turbine blades sitting in like fields that they've accumulated in the last 550 days, year and a half. 3,000 discarded blades that, as near as I can tell, are stockpiled and haven't been used. But the companies are still building these things because they're still getting government handouts and subsidies to do it. But they aren't being deployed. They're just going to sit in storage yards.
I thought we were in an energy shortage.
Yeah, well, wind doesn't make any. It doesn't give you energy where you need it, and it doesn't make any money when it does generate.
Am I stupid, or can you not just put like a bunch of these somewhat relatively close to a data center and then just hook it up directly?
What happens when the wind doesn't blow?
Oh, I recognize that it's going to be irregular, right? But you could say the same thing about solar, even though it's going to be somewhat more regular. But there are certain areas that you can get pretty consistent, relatively speaking, wind that would help carry some of that load. I mean, if you've already got all the parts constructed and all you have to do is stand the bitch up.
So here's the picture. You can share this. This is one of many just dumping grounds for, like, just driving across Texas. You see these huge, wide load tractor trailers driving these fan blades all around the state because they build a lot of them here. But this is just excess supply. No one needs it. No one wants it. It's just being built because the manufacturers are continuing to collect government money.
I feel like we could put those to use somehow rather than just letting them sit in the grass. Long says, need to build infra to support regular power generation. I mean,
yeah, you need baseline, and then you need load. Wind can do neither for you, and it doesn't generate. It doesn't generate at 60 hertz either, so that's another problem. Like, that's why Spain lost all their power on Earth Day last year, whatever it was.
So wind is just like bottom tier.
Wind is bottom. I mean, it's cheap. It's cheap power for sure, but it's bottom tier as far as its usefulness.
Got it. Speaking of which, to do another Texas energy story, did you see solar for the first time, thanks to a lot of the growth in Texas with the solar? Solar is now the leading energy source in the country. Is that wild?
How do you define that? Because, bro, the sun don't shine 24/7.
Just in terms of, here, let me find the Stock Talk tweet where he talked about it.
And if you're generating power from solar, again, you're not doing it at 60 hertz, which is what we need to make all of your devices operate, by the way. It's generating DC power, not AC.
Okay, let's see.
Which is one of the benefits of having the large turbines actually rotating. They're rotating at, wait for it, 60 hertz. So even if they lose fuel, they have a lot of momentum built up, and they continue to spin. So you do not immediately lose power on the grid. You begin to lose, you come off cycle, but that can still be rectified. You don't immediately lose the power.
Right, which is valuable in and of itself. I stand corrected. Third largest source behind nat gas and nuclear, but it passed electricity.
That's coal.
Or coal. What am I talking about? It passed electricity. It passed coal. So yeah, but I still think that's a pretty cool stat there, especially plus 17% year over year.
I mean, I have solar. I have a solar plant on my house. Like, I mean, I'm all for using energy solutions where they make sense, but grid power or powering your data center can't be done with solar. Like, if you think the data centers are large, if you think they're using up a lot of power and water, or they're using a lot of not power, if they're using a lot of land and a lot of water, bro, wait till you see what it's going to cost to build that many solar panels.
Dude, can I talk about a company in a positive way that I don't get to a lot? Yes.
He's going to talk about Tesla.
I'm going to talk about Tesla. This is my favorite chart of anything that Tesla has to offer. This is awesome.
Yeah. I mean, if that alone was a company, you'd love it.
Yeah. Yeah, this is great. Tremendous. I love how you knew it right away. It's awesome. Where were we? We were circling back from the Trump tweet to data centers.
Yeah, we're on politics and data centers.
Politics and data centers. And then there was one other thing that I was going to mention here.
Oh, yeah. We also need data centers to help us run all of our new autonomous weapon systems so we can get people out of the line of fire. Did you see the Anduril drone launched on AMRAAM today?
I did.
Bro, how
Now
sick is that video?
it
Mock
is
diamonds
sick. Now
directly off the rail.
to Siege's point, he said it in a really funny way, which I am gonna steal. Like if we have $100 million autonomous fighter jets being shot down by slingshots, like we win the technology war, but we might lose the economic one. So they have to figure out how to get the price down, because what I'm looking at looks expensive.
So, all right, Anduril, they build stuff cheap. They don't build expensive stuff. Shield AI is taking F-16s that have, been paid for 2 decades. Been paid off for 2 decades. In fact, these F-16s are so old that they're no longer rated for human flight. Like their airframe has so many hours on it that they're not allowed to put people in those airplanes anymore. But you can hook an AI up to it, and now you can fly it, and you don't care if it crashes. So you're getting literally something for nothing. Does that make sense?
A little bit, but
Anduril designed like their Barracuda missiles to be built by bathtub factories.
Yeah, but you really do have to focus, I guess, on making sure that you have the ability to sustain the war. Because one thing that, if we're finding out anything about where people are paying attention to on the national debt, it's defense spending. It gets the people going. No one wants to cut entitlements because both parties are too, what to do it. They're little scaredy cats. They won't touch it. And the national defense budget gets all the attention despite it being, 13 or 14% of the budget. And so we can't really afford to increase that spend, especially with the debt going the way that it is. So we have to make sure that we're not just winning the technology battle, but we're not, if you have one fighter jet that's $100 million and you take out a bunch of $10,000 targets, but then like the 11th or 12th one finally takes down your expensive toy, unless you accomplish something really, really important, you kind of lost that interaction. That's kind of where I'm approaching it from.
Well, you put $100 million jet around a pilot that takes you 5 years and $50 million to train. Right? What you don't do is you don't put $100 million robot in the sky. And the YQF, I think I got those notes. The YQF 44 is not $100 million. It's not stealth. It's not blah blah blah. It just looks cool. But those are super cheap, to manufacture as well, which is one of Anduril's tenets. Is like, we don't build the most expensive stuff. We just build the best stuff. That's Palmer's main thesis for Anduril, is that we're not here to build the Mercedes-Benz where you only can afford a couple of them. We're here to build the arsenal of democracy. It's the arsenal that is the deterrent, not the frontline weapon you only have a few of. Because no one's scared of the SU, whatever it is, 54 Felon from Russia, because there's only 5 of them that exist in the world.
Right. Yeah, it's just unlikely that you're going to run into it. I had a few tweets around the AI topic that I wanted to
bring it.
That I wanted to bring on. So this one is around the New York ban. So I said, if other states and cities follow in these footsteps, it'll represent regulatory capture on behalf of the current cloud service providers, effectively locking up the ability to produce tokens in the hands of a few. What I surmise is the opposite of what progressives actually want as an end result. So that's me referring to, distribution of wealth and making sure that there's a little bit more wealth equality. Regulatory capture is going to prevent that, because then there will just be a few companies. The hyperscalers have already built or are actively building in the available jurisdictions that allow them. Legislation banning new supply effectively blocks competition from the space and will ensure that current winners stay winners. So I think that's really big for the
Yeah.
people who already have supply online or are already in the process of doing so.
They know what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing.
So do you think this could be coming from like Amazon and Google and Microsoft?
Yeah. Well, who controls the AI right now? Dude, if Meta didn't want this Luddite anti-AI meme to exist, they would just kill it in the algo. The same with Google and Microsoft. Like if they don't want it to exist, it won't.
Right.
The only place it could exist is on X, but trust me, it's rocking and rolling on Meta and Google.
Now, speaking of areas that I think are being hit with a little bit of like degrowth or wah populism, has been autonomous vehicles, because a lot of people just equate robots, autonomous, and they kind of put it all together. So we know that Trump owns Uber, and we know that Nancy just bought call options on Uber. I'm getting increasingly more so hot on the stock. So this is what I wrote about this. The last thing either party wants is a mass unemployment event explicitly approved by the Department of Transportation. Despite the progress AVs have made in their provable safety, the policy to approve robotaxis will prove unpopular to anti-AI doomers and Luddites, the massive scale of which has been lost on finance bros and on X and hedge funds, largely underestimating how I should have said many exist. So I think a lot of people in the echo chamber of our finance and hedge fund and finance world kind of lose sight that there's like a lot of anti-AI and Luddite people that are out there. Whichever party explicitly lays this through will be taking an unnecessary risk. This is from like a game theory perspective. Progress in road safety data is thankless, right? Like it's not, people aren't campaigning on that. But appeasing to morons with protectionist policies in the name of jobs is easy, which the media takes full advantage of. The juice simply isn't worth the squeeze. If even 1,000 independent contractors lose their job over multiple years, it will be used against them in the very next campaign. That's why both Trump and Pelosi own Uber. The competitive advantage period for Uber is being greatly understated, and the pace of AV rollouts is being greatly overstated. Sorry that you guys had to listen to me read, because I clearly can't, but that was the tweet. What are your thoughts on that? I know you take the Tesla, software update and boom, off to the races we go approach to it. But I mean, what are you seeing in terms of regulatory? Are you like rethinking that at all?
It's got to be regulatory that's holding Tesla back. Now, I know I told you the last couple of weeks they had a release come out that had a problem,
but then they fixed it.
But they fixed it, and they have improved other things as well, drastically improved them. And it drives much more like you would expect a taxi driver to drive now as well. Instead of go as fast as you can, get within a half mile of your exit on the highway, and then try to get across all 6 lanes of traffic because you're, if you're in hurry mode, then it has a preference for the left lanes. So then you have a half a mile to get across like 6 lanes of traffic, which at 60 miles an hour is just 30 seconds.
Right.
Right. And that just,
it's not good.
Always felt incredibly unsafe.
Yeah.
So now at more like 2 miles before your exit, it will just go ahead and move over, at least on standard now, because I don't really drive on hurry very much anymore, because they have tied the speed profile to how much attention you need to pay. And I like to be able to check X and read my email and chat with Austin while FSD is driving. So I just pretty much stay in standard mode and deal with a nag every once in a while. But now it'll just get over like 2 miles before it's time to get off, and it'll even slow down if the traffic is slow in that lane, rather than just try to pass it all the time to maintain the speed it thinks it should go, which is much more logical way if you think about the way a taxi driver would drive, right? It's gonna get in the lane it needs to be in. It's okay taking a little more time to get there. as long as it gets having your spot in the lane that you need to be in is now more important to it than going full speed until the last second.
Okay. Yeah, and that's all very good. I love to see the progress there. Bringing it all the way
So back to Uber.
back to Uber. Well, I was done with
You
Uber.
make a very compelling case, man. I'm like, why don't I have 200 grand sitting around I can buy a bunch of Uber with?
So
that's my problem is I don't have anything I want to sell to buy Uber.
So here's the risk, right? There's a few risks. There is a risk that one day will come where all the regulators just say open season, like just anybody can do it. We feel like the leaders are safe enough. So like we feel Tesla and Waymo and Zoox and WeRide are all safe enough. So we're just gonna approve it for all those companies, and then we'll issue.
But the feds do it. Secretary of Transportation
federally
does it, and then it's done everywhere all at once.
Right. But right now, the environment that we're in, which I just described, it's a lose-lose from a game theory perspective for the politicians to do it because it's so unpopular. Now, if it ever becomes popular enough, of course they'll 180 on that shit and they'll approve it right away when people see how many lives it's actually saving. The data proves that out, but the data hasn't reached the public yet. It just hasn't. What has reached the public is videos of Waymo driving in construction zones, not knowing what the fuck it's doing. So
every car crash that involves a Tesla is headline news.
Yep. And I'm not sure a lot of the Tesla people realize that we're actually on the same side of the regulatory battle. So like we should be rooting for each other because if both do well, well, I know, I'm a Waymo person who roots for Tesla's success despite my, bitching and moaning about the stock price itself. And then you're one of the rare Tesla people who roots for Waymo. But I think you could see a lot more overlap in that Venn diagram of, because I feel like you get a lot of animosity and battling between the two, which, I've been a part of, but I just don't like people, saying false information. So I try to correct the record a little bit. But if both are successful, then the regulatory path gets easier for both at the same time.
Yeah. I want to get through the regulatory issues so we can go back to competing on technology and services and who's providing the best product to the customer.
Yes.
And get past the fear, uncertainty, and doubt.
So absolute worst case scenario, which I put at a really low probability, like they federally approve it, they roll it out, Tesla and Waymo both go for first party apps, and neither of them have any supply issues at all. They're immediately able to map and validate every single city in the country and saturate every single market. Does that seem likely?
No.
I don't think it does. I mean, there might be someone out there saying like, oh yeah, like everyone's going to throw their Tesla Model 3 onto the network and Tesla's going to dominate. It's like, okay, do you live in that Tesla? Do you really want some stranger, like multiple strangers in the back seat of your car all day? And then like your car comes back to you dead. You can't go home because you have to wait for it to charge, or like you have to clean out your car or watch a bunch of footage to figure out which of your 12 passengers that day did the damage to your car. People do weird stuff in cars too. They're
going to do weird stuff to cars once they're unsupervised.
That too. Yeah, especially Tesla haters. Like they're going to get rides just to do stuff to Tesla. So, I just don't see the hyper growth case where like it's all going to happen overnight. And the other thing is too, I've talked about the 40% of the revenue being delivery, right? So that's a really strong defense, I think, because Teslas and Waymos are not going to be doing delivery driving. I know Waymo has a partnership with DoorDash to try and test it out. I live in the area where that beta test is happening. I've not once seen it happen. I regularly.
So what is the idea that the the restaurant puts the meal in the trunk or in the front or
Right.
in the passenger seat, and the car drives up to your driveway and you go out and get it from the car.
Yeah.
So it doesn't come to your door, but it does come to your driveway. Or
Yeah, but it's not ringing your doorbell. So a lot of the people who, and this might shock a lot of people, but a lot of times the people are doing food delivery, they're inebriated, right? They're at the Friday, it's a Saturday, they're getting ready to go out or whatever. Like that knock on the door or a phone call is going to prevent a lot of problems. Whereas just some ping notification on your phone, okay, you now have 5 minutes to pick this up. Otherwise, you're not getting your food. You're getting charged, and the food will be gone. That I think that's going to frustrate a lot of people.
yeah. The difference being, okay, well, once you have something in the car that belongs to you, what are the limit? Like they're gonna have to figure that out, right? Like how long till the car. But like most people of the next generation are super clued into their phones anyway, though.
Maybe.
So the notification on the phone matters more to a person
Knock on the door.
than a knock on the door.
Everyone's
Like a
so
knock on the door is like, oh my God, run away. But
yeah. So
not,
the phone reality has now become more real life than the real life reality.
yeah.
The other thing I think about too is like the food handling. Um, I don't know. Is it any less likely to like get spilt or anything being in the Waymo?
That sounds like something that will be up to, okay, if they just put it in like a takeout box, styrofoam box, and then in a bag,
Sure.
or like a not takeout, but like a leftovers box, probably not a good thing. But like a Chinese food, plastic, sealed all around, probably still fine.
Okay. The other thing I
At
think about
least
too,
that's my take. It doesn't have to be your take.
um, the other thing I think about too is standing up the relationships with all the merchants. So you're talking about delivery for not just restaurants now, but Uber is also doing like grocery stores and convenience store items. So like if you forgot your pair of headphones at work and you use them at work all day, you can now go on Uber and just order you up some headphones, and
there is nothing worse than getting to the office and realize you left your headphones at home.
I'm glad I picked a good example, but like you can think of, how many different products this could apply to. But when it comes to the restaurants, you have to make connections with those thousands of restaurants to build out the network.
Not individually. You'll have, once you have like a centralized clearinghouse, right? It like I can start a store, and I don't have to build out relationships with all the payment processors. I can just go to PayPal and they're my interface, right? So like if you get on the network of a bunch of restaurants that are all interfacing with, like you can just join that network of restaurants and then they have the interfaces all built in. Does that make sense? I don't know if that exists, but it seems logical to me. Someone might know it in the chat.
I mean, I just think that the network effect that they have is pretty large when it comes to all the restaurants. They want to be on Uber Eats and DoorDash. So I think it's a 1-2 market right there. And I don't think it does them any good to have Waymo on there as well. That's why Waymo has to partner with DoorDash, is to take advantage of their network. Waymo doesn't want to sit there and like hire out a team of a couple hundred people to expand their network. Like when you order this Waymo DoorDash partnership, when you order, it's through DoorDash. It's not through Waymo. You can't go on the Waymo app and order food through DoorDash. Like you go on DoorDash and then they might send a Waymo. That's how it works right now. So
yeah.
I think that's,
well, whoever's free on the network has a chance to get the task, right? And that's
Right.
That's kind of how the whole thing works. And if Waymo has unused capacity, they're gonna take those jobs.
But the point of the autonomous vehicles is to be highly utilized 100%. So you don't want to build out so many Waymos that you've got dozens of them sitting overnight not doing anything. You actually want them to be, you want to have the number low enough so that you're actually getting full utilization. Otherwise, the ROI doesn't make sense in being asset heavy. So here's the difference between Uber, who's asset light. They don't own the cars, right? The driver brings the car. So it's asset light. They're a toll booth. Whereas Waymo and Tesla, if Tesla went the fleet route, which is what Waymo's doing, is the fleet route, that's capital intensive because you actually have to go and buy the car. So you have to make sure that the utilization is higher. The utilization doesn't matter to Uber. They don't give a shit. If there's a car sitting there for 16 hours a day, only driving 8, which is terrible utilization, like it doesn't matter to Uber because that's someone else's car that is just sitting there. That's a driver sitting there that they're not paying. They only pay per ride. Whereas Waymo, that they'd be stressing to be like, dude, where can we send this car to make sure that we get more rides? Like, is there a city that could use more cars? Do we need to shift our fleet around and manage the fleet? What you actually want is the cars, and I've got a chart for this. You want the AV cars to manage the base load, and you want human rideshare network to handle the peak and valley amount of the load. So let me share a graphic here to sort of describe what I'm talking about. This one's been shared by Mr. Ackman. Here we go.
You can tip a Waymo, Martin. As insane as that is.
Yeah, that's totally insane. So here you sort of see like the baseline, and the dark blue is the AV sort of target zone, or what you might call like the base load. And then you get the variable demand in the light blue sections. And that's where you're counting on people who, maybe on a Friday, Saturday night, or just whenever they get off work, if they want to go make some extra bucks, people are hanging out drinking after work with friends. They're going to events. They're going to and from school and after school events. Like all the different things that cause these trips are usually happening like between 3 and 8 p.m. on weekdays. And then, of course, the weekends are going to be a bit busier. So this is why AVs, I don't think, will really become more than like 50% of, well, I won't say ever, but like in the next couple years, and by couple, I mean probably like, I'm gonna make the prediction clear. I think they will remain under 50% of all rideshare rides for at least 10 years. That's the prediction. So 10 years from now, we will still have more human-given trips on rideshare than AVs.
Yeah, because it's just the number of possible platforms. That I don't think it's not, to quote the meme, that's not ridiculous. It's not ridiculous to say that. There's just so many more regular vehicles out there than there are potential autonomous vehicles. Although, what we see in the data all the time is that when given the choice, people prefer the autonomous vehicle to themselves.
Can I just share that clip?
Sure.
It's so funny. Is this the clip? I think it's the clip.
And that's not
absolutely Jalen Green. My by far favorite archetype of player is the uber athletic shooting guard who makes tough shots. So Jalen Green, Anthony Edwards, Kobe, Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady. That's by far my favorite archetype of player. By far to watch. Just we're talking about aesthetically pleasing, who I want to watch. That's by far my favorite player. Then it goes to like the super skilled mid-range assassin, Kevin Durant, Joel Embiid, those type of players. Those are my favorite players to watch.
You said MJ? You said MJ?
MJ would be up there, yeah. Those are my favorite players to watch. And then like my least favorite players to watch, the more physically imposing like
Giannis, Randall.
Giannis, LeBron, Julius Randle. Not that they're not better. I think Bron might be the best player ever, but might be before Jordan fans come kill me. Might.
Sure.
But it's just not my favorite players to watch.
Who's a superstar whose game?
Wait, that was not the clip. Hold on. I was bamboozled.
I mean,
he's on the top
the guy said that
Lakers.
LeBron was the greatest player of all time, and I feel that is ridiculous to say that.
Dude, where's that clip? All right. I lost the internet today. It's fine. Internet 1, Austin 0. I literally typed in it's not ridiculous to say that meme.
Yeah, well, failed Google.
Sell it all. Sell it all. Oh, good transition. Good transition. So something important was said about Google today. What was said? Okay, so a lot of people, myself included, believed that when Berkshire took the giant Google stake, that it was a new management decision. It was their way of putting their stamp on the portfolio and saying, this is no longer Buffett's portfolio. This is Greg Abel and new management. We are here. It is time to kick ass. We would be wrong. Here's a clip from a CNBC interview that Buffett did today talking about the Googs.
I initiate it. I mean, I normally
Well, he's losing weight.
something like that, but I will because but we.
You hear what he said, though? Here, listen to it again.
Mark on the Berkshire portfolio. I asked Buffett whose idea it was to buy the tech giant.
I initiate it. I mean, I normally wouldn't give you an answer on something like that, but I will because I am not doing anything that he doesn't approve of. He's not doing anything I don't approve of. We talk all the time. He's well, every day. I mean, but he is the decider. And getting back to
He's the decider, but I'm still important.
It's probably number 5 or 6.
Well, I thought it was number 3 if you consider the $10 billion private placement that would go along with that, because that would put it north of $31 billion.
Yeah, but we've got the Burlington Northern Railroad, which is certainly worth far more money than
Okay,
that.
so you're counting fully
Absolutely.
owned companies as well.
You know, I mean, we are always making the choice between.
So there you go. He goes on to talk about how he really likes companies that he thinks are going to be extremely durable and have high internal rates of return for long periods of time. You hear him talk about the term wonderful business a lot. And what that means to him is that it's also going to be wonderful for a long period of time. The example that he gave here was talking about American Express. A lot of banks, they get traded on what their balance sheet is and the loans that they've given out. Where American Express, they do that as well, but they also have a toll booth like Visa and MasterCard do, where they take an asset-light business and they monetize that as well on top of the bank that they run and the loans that they give out. So they are both the issuer and the bank in the case of an Amex card. Whereas if you get a Visa and MasterCard, it's two separate companies. American Express has been able to compound a lot better than JP Morgan. So really interesting to hear it. And it's always nice to hear your biggest position get validated by a guy who's been investing 3 times longer than you've been alive. Any thoughts on this? Or does Google just put you to sleep at this point?
Not really. I mean, Google has lulled me to sleep. Sure.
Do you own any?
No, I'm out of my Google position. I mean, do I own any? I mean, I have VU, VTI, and QQQ.
Okay.
I mean, a large part of my monthly income is based on QQQI and XQQI, but yeah. So like, I definitely have Google exposure. I'm just not I'm not holding that stock individually right now because I have so much exposure to it.
And then the next AI related topic that we had was carp. So carp kind of went on a tear on CNBC talking about how no one's happy with the frontier model companies, how they're stealing their internal data. And then shortly after that, we saw Satya put out this article basically confirming everything that the carp said. It was, I wouldn't say it was a perfect copy paste, but a lot of the information that he put in here, protecting their core IP, the value is not known until it actually like delivers you value. A lot of the talking points that Carp has hit on, Satya is echoing here. What were your thoughts on all this?
I mean, I just listened to Carp and I'm like, yeah, he's still right.
Still right.
Which is why I'm not buying Google, but I am buying Palantir.
There you go.
He just understands. He understands where the puck is going. I think. I mean, if I understand where the puck is going, I see Carp making the moves. Like he understands the same things I understand, and maybe I'm wrong. And if I am, then Carp's moves are going to be wrong as well. But I just don't see that being the world we're moving to. I mean, maybe there's some political risk that's developing because he got too close to one administration. But I mean, Palantir was a pretty big deal during Obama and Biden administrations too, on the government side. So I mean, it's not like he's needed Team Red to feast on, and I mean, Palantir knows they're going to know where all the bodies are buried because of the CIA operating system, but they don't actually know because you own your own data. And again, that just seems to be the most valuable part of the system to me is you control your own company, whereas the other major LLMs are going to take your data, figure out what you're doing with it, develop a product that does what you do, and sell it for cheaper than you can.
Right. And they're going to sell you tokens while they do it.
Yeah. At higher and higher prices. Which, to be fair, the higher prices are due to a lack of supply. And all we're doing, as we mentioned earlier in the program, is cutting off our legs and in the effort to reduce the cost of tokens.
And how's that going for us?
It's not going well. Now, token spend per employee. So there certainly were CEOs that thought they could lay off engineers and teach 20% of the engineers to use AI and lay off the other 80% of their engineers, or not, and then not hire new ones. But as we see that the token cost is going up and up and up, maybe it would have been cheaper to have a few more of your engineers back.
There was a Ford story about this, wasn't there? Ford rehires 350 veteran engineers, often called the graybeards, to fix quality control issues. The company pivoted back to human talent after aggressive reliance on AI when automation cost billions of dollars in defects.
Yeah, I don't understand why. Like, you have so much risk at this point. If the AI products you're buying do something wrong, I just can't imagine that I would dump like heavy, like Halo type of companies and equipment and products into AI yet. Now, are there tools that you want to start using? Yeah, but that still has to be totally validated by human in the loop. So if you want to develop AI products and or an AI culture at your company, you got to pay more for it because you need the people doing the AI and you still need the people backstopping that. So if your plan was just, you know, in less than a 5-year cycle to just get rid of everybody who's drawn a paycheck and who's over 40 and just have AI replace them, that seems like a recipe for disaster. You clearly never used AI if you think you can get rid of engineers.
Right. The mass unemployment narrative has so many violations in it. And you know how much a fan of Druck I am, you know, and I try to invest similar to him with my own theses around companies, but I really do like his style. And one of the things that he says is the obvious is obviously wrong. So everyone thinks that you're just going to replace human labor with artificial labor. And that seems obvious, but it's obviously wrong because it hasn't been happening. Software has been doing a lot of these tasks for many, many years. When software became huge over the last 2 decades, did unemployment drop or did unemployment spike to 30%? No, it did not.
People who could use the software, like you needed more people at your company using the software.
Because your company was growing faster because productivity gain. Like this is the thing that like circling all the way back here, all the way back to Ted Kennedy. So what we were talking about with the AI is inflationary. Joe Kennedy, sorry. When he says AI is inflationary, I'm like, no, it's deflationary. It lowers the cost to serve because it increases productivity. Therefore, it's a deflationary force, not an inflationary one.
Yeah, this is just stupidity.
Speaking of stupidity,
now we have stupidity on both sides. But like you said, the main problem is Sam and Dario. And to be fair, Elon as well. Elon was very doomer on AI for a long time as well.
Right. Speaking of stupidity, the other risk factor I wanted to sneak in about Uber is that they invested $500 million in Lucid. Did you see the move that name made, Lucid?
I saw something about Lucid, but I don't usually pay too much attention to it. But I think I saw a headline. Can you pull their chart up? Or
I sure can. Yeah, it's kind of a wild one here.
If it's what I think it is, then it's like really surprising, but also not surprising.
No, it's surprising. So what had happened here was, look at this.
So what happened was
they have been struggling for quite some time, but they're burning lots of cash. They just are. No way around that. I have a buddy.
They make pretty cars.
They make pretty cars. Great product, okay, but they just can't manufacture them that quickly. I have a close friend of mine. He worked for the company who now took a job at Anduril after Lucid laid off a bunch of people. Say it again.
Let's go.
Yeah, and I'm really happy for him because he was not happy working for Lucid. They don't have production capabilities, even though they have a really, really great car. They just haven't sold many of them, and they're burning lots of money, and they're kind of not operating that well. But so a report comes out yesterday that they were considering either just like getting acquired by someone for pennies on the dollar or just filing Chapter 11. So the stock dropped all the way down to, it looks like 233, 235. And turns out the report, by the way, Lucid is a heavily shorted stock. I should mention that. So then just a few hours later, turns out, oopsie daisy, the report was not correct. And then the stock today goes all the way up to 595, higher than it was actually trading at before the report even came out. Do you smell fish in here, or is it just me?
I mean, that's what these companies do, right? These hedge funds and these short sellers do, right? They have a bunch of research, they write something up, they publish a bear report. At the same time they put the trade on, the market sees that there's a bear report there. They don't even read it yet. They see, oh, there's a bear thesis. They sell the shit off. The short sellers make their money by closing their position that day, and then the stock is free to go back up again. It's like people fall for it hook, line, and sinker every time.
Yeah, but if news organizations are reporting that they're going to file bankruptcy, that's a little bit different than like some assholes.
No, they don't report they're going to file bankruptcy. They report that there's a report that they're going to file bankruptcy.
But like, you see what I'm saying? Like, it's one thing to post your bear thesis making wild accusations. It's another thing to straight up fabricate a piece of news so that you can close your shorts and then flip the position and double up your money. Like,
yeah,
I don't like it.
I detest it. I'd much rather us go after crap like that than go after Kalshi.
Well, okay. Do you want to?
Which has its own problems. I'm not giving them a pass. Okay,
dude. The flight thing that you can now bet on. Joseph Carlson covered this. You can now bet on, or they're trying to make it to where you can bet on how many flights will be delayed. So that will be your over under on the flights getting delayed. So you just know that there's going to be people trying to mess with that result, and like that's going to actually delay people's flights and fuck up their schedule because they're trying to get, you know. Yes. There's only been 3, and I bet 3.5.
Yeah.
That's gross, dude. We shouldn't make gambling everything.
I mean, honestly, the best thing I saw all year, and I don't have it up right now, but I actually saw on Robinhood that you could bet on the weather. And I was like, actually, that is one that, okay, I'm fine with that. Like, what's the mean temperature going to be tomorrow, over under, at in New York or something? I'm fine with that. Bet on that. No one can do anything about that. There is no one on the other side of that trade who has any influence over the outcome.
DARPA.
the weather station, or their they report the number that they send to the news is different than the number that's actually on there.
Oh, dude. Yeah. If not them, dude, if they take it directly from a thermostat, you'll have people with like Circle K lighters right underneath the thermostat heating that bitch up, dude.
Or hacking the thermostat. So the Bluetooth connection the thermostat has is they can intercept it in the way. Like, there's always man in the middle attacks for all this type of stuff. Like,
yeah, so
like at some point you say there's enough trust in this system that I'm willing to bet on it. But I mean, you could say I'm going to bet on the rainfall in Southern California by almond futures, right? I mean, right? Or you're going to bet on the weather in Florida by orange juice prices, right? I mean, just like pick something.
I mean, weather can be gamed, but like you said, I don't think people are like actually able to change the weather actually. But people can actually delay other people's flights. Like, you can pay an employee who is already ready to quit a bunch of money to mess up a flight, or you can pay a customer to
You don't have to do that, bro. Make your bet on Robinhood, buy a ticket, go on the plane, and start some shenanigans.
Yeah, end up on the no-fly list. It's totally worth it, bro.
Yeah. Do something that's gonna like buy a ticket in the. You don't even have to end up on the no-fly list, but like buy a ticket on the, emergency escape aisle, and then like cause a ruckus. Right, just because I don't accept that responsibility. No, I bought this.
You're not advocating for this,
but because I wanted the extra leg room, but I don't want to. Blah blah blah. Just like get in an argument with the flight attendant. Just like.
I do not advocate for this.
Not advocating for this. Just saying it seems like it would be pretty easy to do. Speaking of another company, and this is not really something a lot of people follow, but it's a little bit of just Dougie's brand. Did you see AutoZone filed for raised 850 million today
Why?
or yesterday to strengthen financing. I mean, they're a share repurchase king, but they are down, well down off their highs. Even though the like a lot of the best analysts still have price targets well above current valuations. But yeah, a 20.6 PE is not especially the most attractive thing ever, but I mean, we'll see. But anyway, Dougie's port hurt a little bit on that latest move.
So I'm trying to find it. I'm kind of struggling a little bit here to find the news on the capital raise.
It's not a lot of AutoZone stock doesn't tend to make the news. They just buy back shares. Well, they have a new CEO this year as well. You can look at the stock chart and tell when he got hired. Kind of.
So I probably in here.
Yeah.
But they were pretty. That was you were paying a premium up here, right, at 4,300. I mean this was like Costco and Walmart being up there.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's generally where the price targets are.
Still, they've upheld this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, price targets are still in the mid 4,000s.
Yeah, it's just why are you raising money at $2,900 and $3,000 when you could have been raising money at 4,300, but instead you were doing buybacks?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, don't stop my buyback, bro.
Don't stop the buyback. That's illegal. So let me see if I can find more news on the AZO.
Well, I just had a couple people DM me today asking about what I thought about AutoZone. Because I mean, I've shown it to people, especially to young investors, who are asking me, what do you do? What's your strategy? And I don't tell people buy AutoZone. I say buy an AutoZone. Find one that is just going to execute on their mission, build their moat, serve their customers, and buy back their shares. And that does not, they're not trying to reinvent the wheel all the time. They just do what their core competency is and do it very well. And treat their shareholders well.
There's the revenue. There's the gross profit up and to the right. Operating income. Again, you've got a really solid trend line there. But here's the big one: is the capital allocation strategy. Look at the shares outstanding.
Yep.
So they've
see how that's leveled off a little bit?
Yeah.
New CEO. Yeah. See, look at that trend line. And I think that's what's dropping the price down is people are seeing that.
And I'm seeing this 2% drag in operating margin.
Yep.
But yeah, if we look at the cash flow, I bet we'll see that share buyback, share repurchases dropping off a little bit. If I'm smart enough to find it. I know it's in here somewhere. There it is. Yep. Yeah, interesting. But you said they raised capital?
Yep.
How much was it?
850 million. Which is a lot of money, but it's not a lot for a hyperscaler, but it's a lot for a
hold on. It was just debt. It was debt. This is just debt, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I said. They issued notes.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear the notes part. I was thinking equity. Okay. Yeah, I mean, what's the 10-year at? Isn't it under? Is this cheaper than 10-year pricing? 4.95?
That's a good question. It might be. I mean, I don't mind them doing it. I guess I minded it less when I wasn't retired, but. the first few years of retirement are so important that I really need these things going up and to the right for a couple of years.
Okay, so here's the 10-year. So they issued, what was that, 5-year notes at 4.95, which is barely over the 10-year.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I don't mind that they're doing it. I mean, I love that the fact that they're going for more growth. But yeah, as long as they're not buying, as long as they're not using it to start to finance a deal with Nebius or CoreWeave, I'm probably fine.
So here's their long-term debt. It's at about $9 billion. So this is a 10% increase on their current debt. Current long-term debt, I should say. And then if we look at the cash flow statement, the operating income, or operating cash flow rather, is $3 billion a year. So they are levered, and they're using that to do buybacks. So maybe people are just thinking that they're running out of steam in terms of their cash flow versus their buybacks.
I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, that remains a big part of my port, and brand as well. Yeah, there's a low whistle. I don't know if it's a window open somewhere.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it was.
Okay.
Yeah, it's monsoon season. We get rain out here like 2 days a year, and it when it rains, dude, it floods everywhere. It's great. Did that fix it?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
I'm surprised the mic could pick that up. Okay.
I guess one last little trend I've noticed the last few days is crypto trying to come back. Like, actually, right now, if they bounce, like if we get another green crypto day here, we might be back. The trade might be back on.
So right before we get into crypto, I wanted to complete my thoughts on what I was saying about Uber, the second risk point. We've been all over the map with this one, but it's all right. We're connecting the loops back.
Yeah.
So the first one is the one that I think is unlikely. All the AVs roll out all at once and everything goes swimmingly and there's no corner cases and everyone decides that they want to jump on the AV train right away, including politicians and users alike. And insurance figures it out all overnight, and so does the cities and states and the charging networks. And it can't
happen. There won't be enough production. Supply and demand will get too far ahead of itself. Demand will increase pricing way too much. It'll be like COVID era pricing where you couldn't buy a Tesla at any price.
There you go. Okay, so number two, I started talking about Lucid and we got sidetracked a little bit. They put $500 million into Lucid, which has not been a good investment for them because of what we talked about. They're burning a bunch of cash, even though they make a great product. They just haven't done that many numbers. The way that Uber could lose is if they end up spending a bunch of money on a bunch of failed projects. So that is something that I'm looking at. Now, they do almost $7 billion of free cash flow, and that's trailing 12 months. But they put $500 million into Lucid, and they're putting money into some other projects, and they are looking at buying Delivery Hero, which is the third risk factor. Delivery Hero is a German company. They have a huge footprint in Europe through a bunch of different brands, Middle East and Africa. They're the leader in every market that they go into. And they're the fastest delivery in all of those markets. So they're going to pay a pretty penny for Delivery Hero, but it will get a chance to show their operating leverage. But I think that is a huge risk factor that I think is worth mentioning, that Uber is currently expounding cash flow to try to defend their platform moat. Just wanted to sneak that in there so that my Uber take has been properly balanced. Okay, crypto. Let's do crypto. You want to lead us off with this chart? What are we looking at here?
I was just saying, man, I just look at this. Is crypto still dead? Is it still dead? I don't know.
Why do you think it has life? Because I think it's kind of people have moved past it emotionally.
Actually, what you're looking at behind me, I think, is Palantir. But
oh, okay. By the way, what a weird dip this morning on IBM. It's like, or was that yesterday? The IBM dip? Yeah, that was yesterday.
I don't know, ask Siege.
It dipped to like 108 or something, and then by the end of the day, it was back up to like 133. It was such a weird day. So why is crypto back? Why is it the?
I'm just saying. I mean, we triple touched really the 618, the golden pocket. Okay, that's all this was, a retracement.
Oh, hold on. I didn't have it up. Sorry.
All right, from the last run up all the way up to whatever it was, 126, we have bounced right off the 618 levels. In the last week. I mean, and the 618 is known as the golden pocket.
Can you explain what 618 means?
It is that is one of the golden ratio numbers that we see in nature a lot of times. You can see it in conch shells, flower petals, the ratio of that appeals to the human eye when it comes to like the length to width of even the frame on a picture frame. 618 is one of those magical Fibonacci numbers. And it appears in trading a whole lot. These Fibonacci numbers, 618 being the retracement number that gives you, it's called the golden pocket because you retrace so much off of that, and then you get to go, you're free to fly to go back up again. With almost like a maximum profit just to return back to the previous high. So we're just bouncing off of
what does the number
levels.
618 represent?
Huh?
What does 618 the number represent?
It's a Fibonacci number that is tied to the golden ratio. What does it represent?
So like the local low I'm seeing is 1, and then the all-time high is 0, and 618 is like a Fibonacci support.
Yeah. So
Okay.
618 is the reciprocal of the golden ratio.
Okay.
Okay. The golden ratio is 1.618. So 0.618. Yeah, it's used in art, architecture, and design. It's used in mathematics and nature. You can calculate it using the Fibonacci sequence, and it shows up in financial trading as well as these Fibonacci levels. And so, like, just 618 is just known. It's known as the golden pocket. So if you're looking for a trade to have retraced, you're like, oh, this ran, it got too high, it got out of control. I'm starting to look for entries. The ideal place to look where you have one of the highest profit potentials is when to start buying at the 618 ratio.
And
so
it's called you were explaining the golden pocket. What does that term mean?
It's the level between a half and the 0.618.
Okay.
Okay, is the golden pocket, and 618 being the actual target. And golden because you make a lot of money.
Sure.
So you can see over the last couple of weeks, the last week or so, where am I? I'm on daily. Yeah. So last couple of weeks, we've touched it a few times, and now we've moved up. We've hit these two local highs real quick, which look like they may be pressure to the top side, and then we popped above it, and we're retesting that high again there at 64, 60, high 64. So we'll see. But yeah, on the big daily chart, we hit the 618. Not financial advice, but it would be one of the classical technical setups to say this is a good place, or it is a likely bottom. If you were to say, okay, if we're over here, right? If we're up here, and we're like, okay, well, we've lost the top. Where's this thing going to fall to? You would start saying, okay, you would look out and just say, okay, look at the 618. So these Fibonacci levels, these are derived from the local bottom to the local top.
Right.
Okay. So these numbers are given to us by just knowing what the top was.
And this is something that even if you didn't believe in the core thesis, it's tradable. Is that
Yes.
Is that at a minimum charitable to say? I feel
Yes.
like that's fair.
Let's do another one of these. So the previous run, local bottom to local top, and I don't know if I've got this exactly right. I mean, it could have been this, but this seems most likely. I mean, look, it didn't hit this. It didn't stop at 618. It went all the way down to 786, but the fib levels were still in play the whole time. Because you do see it, it tried to form structure here right above 618 on the last run, right?
And this is where you can even get into a little bit of the self-fulfilling prophecy that I've made reference to with TA before. If there's enough traders who are trading this way, then even if it doesn't make a difference to the fundamental thesis of like what's the actual value and the theoretical value of an asset, if enough people are trading it this particular way, then that's the way it does trade. Like, yep. Here, you can't.
Well, there's the fact that the fib levels show up in both mathematics and nature, and the human psychology is still based in nature. So you can say it's as much a mathematical level as it is a psychological level.
Right.
That would exist whether or not there was a chart that showed it.
Right. Yeah, it's always
existed. So then you have to ask, well, does the psychological level exist? Does the psychological level exist because the chart exists, or does the chart exist because the psychological level exists?
Right. Yeah, I was
going to column A, a little at column B, probably.
Another way to say that is that, like, if you look through historical charts before people got wise to this, you would probably see this as well. Is that fair to say? Okay.
Yep. Yeah, and so now these numbers get a little more spotlight thrown on them, but the number of people, I still think that the number of people that think to look at the fibs is still so much fewer than the people that are actually in the trade that it doesn't matter.
So outside of the technical, is Bitcoin back, or do you think, like, because you know me, I'm decent at reading the sentiment and being like, okay, sentiment's bottomed or sentiment's peaked. Do you feel like sentiment?
So let me ask you then
for crypto.
So let me ask you then, what level does Bitcoin have to be at for you to be like, Bitcoin is not dead, Bitcoin is back?
I think
100K?
No, before 100, because
83, 84.
Yeah, I think if you cross like 86, 87, 88 psychologically, you're gonna get a lot of hype cycle and buy-in. You know, it's going back to 100, and once it goes over 100, then you're off to the races, right?
Yeah. So when do you want to be acquiring? Do you want to be acquiring at 87, 88, 89, or do you want to be acquiring at 59, 60, 63, 64, 65?
Right. Yeah, from a trading perspective, I totally agree with you. But the fear at this level is that it could continue its downtrend, right?
Yeah. So then the the Bitcoin is totally dead, everyone involved is a scam artist or lost all their money and is just coping, would be at 39.
And that's where support is.
Well, that would be the next fib level,
Okay.
right? But we saw from the last run up that the whatever this is, the 786 number actually is still in play just fine. And you know, Bitcoin can die. It's fine. Bitcoin has died many times. Everyone involved. See, we run that fib, and they're right there. So from the height of whatever this was, 60 something, 70 down to 15 is the same psychological fall off as 126 is to 39.
Can you
But once it really hit this bottom in November 22, right? Once it hit this bottom in November 22, you had if you just bought that bottom, you had a 719% gain in how many days?
now, but that's also, we are cherry picking a little bit because you're nailing the bottom and selling the top.
Well, what I'm looking for is the fib levels.
Right.
And so I know what the previous bottom was. I know what the top was. And so that gives me a target to look at. And we have seen Bitcoin trade very technically in the past. Where I just showed this. It bounced right off of the fib level, which happened to also be a head and shoulders level, by the way. I mean, like how many times further back do we need to track this down to see that it is going to trade rather technically? Right? 786 levels, maybe a little below, but it still hit it, right?
Can you go to like maybe like the last 5 year and throw a 200-day moving on it? And I do feel like from a sentiment perspective, we might be bottoming here in terms of, you know, there's.
Sorry, this is a logarithmic.
Okay.
Scale.
Yeah.
So it's a little weird looking, right?
There's not any more bears that can come out and say that they hate crypto that haven't already, and the people who still believe in it still believe in it. So we're kind of at a stalemate here, where one group is going to be right.
So if I take the logarithmic off, okay, now you get a better appearance of the structure. Okay, so this is back to 2015. What did you ask for? 5 years?
Yeah, and then which one's the 200-day? The violet line?
No, I only have. That's the 9. Let me change that. You want 200?
Yeah. Lack was saying that it had bounced off or was under the 200-day moving. Oh yeah, there it is. It's that teal line, right?
No, that's the 20. Style. Oh, there may not be. Okay, no, I'm in month, so there hasn't been 200 months. There you
go. Okay. So the really obnoxious line running right through it, that's the 200.
Yeah, well, because I've selected it. So
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. No. I mean, it was fine. That actually made it really visible. I kind of liked it, even though I called it obnoxious. But yeah. Okay. So anytime it's under that blue line has been a good time to buy. You know, Charlie Munger even said that about like high quality assets too. It's just buy it under the 200-day moving, and you could probably beat the S&P.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like this little price action candle is probably getting ahead of itself on the RSI. So it may trade sideways for a little bit here, but I mean, once it goes over the 200 again, I mean, on these big reversals, when the 200 comes down, look at this. It's just like the last time it was below for an extended period of time. This was like 3 days. Boom. And then it just basically bounced off the 200 all the way up.
Can you do a 200-week moving average?
Maybe. Yeah, there you go. The blue line again.
That's 200-week?
Yep.
Ooh. Go back further. I want to see how many times this has played out. Oh, great. So 2019, 2020, I'm guessing that's the COVID dip. 2022, and right now.
Yeah. Man, wouldn't you have been like to have been buying here and here?
All right. So if you're in the market for some biddy, take yourself a look. No recommendations here on this podcast, but take yourself a look and gander.
Yeah. All I'm saying is, do you want to be buying at 100K or do you want a better price? Because all the suckers are going to be buying in again at when it gets to 250. And that's when you want to be selling your position.
There you go. I think, what else did we? Oh, we're gonna.
Because I got news for you. Whatever's going to happen in the future, the government's going to print more money. There's going to be another crisis. There's going to be another, whether it's actually a crisis or whether they label it as one, but they're going to print more money.
They indeed will print more money. I'm going to take this off the stage. All right. One other chart I wanted to go over here is this absolutely absurd, disgusting chart comparing the semiconductors and hyperscalers. This is their free cash flow. So I don't want it to be mistaken that this is their earnings. It's their free cash flow. So very clearly the cash in the economy is moving from Meta, Google, Microsoft, Oracle, Amazon, and it's going to NVIDIA, Micron, Broadcom, Applied Materials, Lam Research, KLA, ASML, TSM. Who am I missing in here, Doug? Maybe SK Hynix. All your chip names. You guys know the chip names. Okay, so the cash flow here does not appear to be sustainable to me.
Okay, the bottom line is the time. What is the y-axis?
That is the 12-month forward free cash flow. So then the free cash flow for the next 12 months of that
in billions
of dollars. And you have semiconductors reaching.
Well, this is obviously stupid.
Why is that?
Because the money's being spent and it doesn't go on a 1-to-1 ratio to the semiconductor companies. Like the hyperscalers are spending money on things that are not semiconductors as well. And this is showing that every dollar that the hyperscalers are spending is going to the semiconductors. And that's just not the case.
Maybe not every dollar.
They're buying power, they're buying networking, they're buying facilities, they're buying everything else that they're buying.
Right.
Meta's hiring engineers for hundreds of millions of dollars on, right? Like,
But we see the income statements of NVIDIA, Micron, SanDisk, and Broadcom. And like we also understand that a lot of the money is going to semiconductor companies, right? Like that is a very large chunk of the CapEx. No doubt about it.
Well,
I just
Jackson
think
says
it's
it can't go on
interesting.
much like this much longer, but I mean, the hyperscalers can go into debt.
But we saw a little bit of rotation today, and I'm not sure if that's just short-term rotation, but we did see a rotation a little bit out of the semis and more into the mags. And we also saw Apple say that they are going to they're apparently going to be looking at acquiring a chip company. Did you see that?
Yeah. I mean, well, first of all, I hate it. Running a software company and running a chip company are two very, very different things. Stick to what you're good at. Rarely does an organization come in and start being good at something that they're not good at. For example, Google didn't get into the they didn't start an electric or an automotive vehicle division. They bought shares in Waymo. They didn't start building rockets. They bought SpaceX shares. Right? Yeah, let those core competencies exist in those organizations. If you're purchasing an entire semiconductor company, you're acquiring a whole bunch of stuff you don't know how to do that you're now responsible for doing. And the first thing you got to do is lay off a bunch of people, so you don't know who the good people are and who aren't.
Right.
It's a failure of MBAs running companies every single cycle.
So how does that differ from? Because I've always been interested in the build versus buy. So here we're saying Apple doesn't know about chips, which they would probably debate, and I think they have.
No, they've run their own chips before,
right?
And they got in trouble with that.
So that's the acquisition standpoint, but also there's positives to acquisitions that can be accretive. So Palo Alto
you integrate your supply chain.
Yeah, Palo Alto
you
network
become more
great.
Become more vertically integrated. I mean, I understand the arguments for it.
So what about Rocket Lab too? They've done a lot of integration through acquisition. Or do you think because it's in fields that they might be more familiar with?
Yeah, but they're buying companies that are in whose core competencies share a lot more in common with what Rocket Lab's core competencies already are.
Okay. So you just feel like the hardware versus software is more different than space versus space?
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of space, I wanted to get your take on this. So ASTS, I don't know if this is the headline, but it definitely happened just now. They are issuing new debt that are convertibles. Stock is down. How much after hours? It is down 12% after hours, retracing from its highs at the end of May of 133. It's all the way down to $58, down 12% after hours. Now making it down about 30% year to date. SpaceX IPO is now below its IPO price, down about 33% from its highs about exactly a month ago when I started bitching and moaning about the valuation. And then Rocket Lab has retraced all the way from 150, again, also on the same date that ASTS peaked right before the IPO at $150, has now been cut in half down to 76. You think this is a nothing burger? I see it as a buying opportunity. Tell me more.
Very well could be a buying opportunity. But right now you've got inflation prints that have got 3 handles on them, which means they're not likely to get I mean, it's the tale that sold its time. We got an inflation print. So rate cut scenarios are smaller than previously thought. So the super high beta stuff that was dependent upon having low rates is getting crushed. Like, buy if you want it, because I mean, that Rocket Lab didn't turn into a bad company in a month.
Right.
Okay.
Matter of fact, they got stronger in that month.
Yeah, it got better.
And by the way, ASTS raising money to. By the way, they explicitly said that they're raising money to do more launching.
Yeah. So yeah.
Who's that money going to?
Don't threaten me with a good time. So yeah, like the trade is still on. I mean, they're gonna have ups and downs. Like you're getting the market is giving you by it having its attention going otherwise. And let's also not forget that there's a little bit of competition for the capital right now, though. Right? We see that like everybody who had a bunch of SpaceX is dumping it because you know what they want? Anthropic.
Anthropic.
So you got to start saving your pennies so you can get in on that bish. You know what I mean?
Okay.
You got to have a cash position to get in on that. And so you got to sell some winners now so you got some cash to get in on Anthropic.
So this was the news that we got earlier today, this morning actually. It says Anthropic is preparing investor meetings ahead of potential IPO. They already filed their S1. They did that.
Yep.
4 or 5 weeks ago, something like that.
Yeah. Confidentially.
So valued at $965 billion. One of the things that I really liked about what Karp said is that if tokens are so valuable, then like why are they charging for the token? If your technology rules so much, why not just create the value and then take a portion of it? Why do you have to sell tokens? Like why are tokens the price? No, the price should just be a portion of the value that you create. It's a much better business model.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what Karp does. He says, we're going to build your value and then we're going to charge you for it. I mean, I don't like it's hard to argue with the success that Dario and Sam Altman have had on their businesses and the incredible growth that they've seen in their revenues. But I just don't like the business model. Like, I don't want to be their customer.
Right.
Right. I like it's like at least we don't live in a world, at least not yet, where you have to be their customer. And I just feel like these guys are Xfinity or they're Comcast and it like late 2000s Comcast. And I don't want to be in business with you. I might be forced to be, but the instant that I have a different option, off YouTube TV, I'm cutting the cord, bro.
Yeah.
Because I hate doing business with you. And that's like, I like doing business with Amazon.
Well, and how are you supposed to feel about your employee morale if, okay, say you work for XYZ company and you've announced a deal with Anthropic or OpenAI, and those CEOs have gone on record many times saying AI is going to replace all your jobs. And now the company that you work for just said that they're signing a deal with that company. It's like, now are all of your employees
start looking for a job, get your resume together.
Yeah, but are all your employees just going to stop working and your business is just going to grind to a halt?
Yes.
So it's interesting. SpaceX was very smart to get in first.
Yep.
That's what I have to say about that. Do we want to go
and whatever you have to say about Elon, he made sure to take care of his people.
Yep.
Now you can be he's still trying to sell you the stock now and whether you buy it or not is, another question, but he's taking care of the people that have been backing him for a decade. And if you ask me who I would rather be in business with, and whose team I would rather be on, I'd rather be on that guy's team than on the one who's a gloom and doomer.
So Siege sent me a link when we were talking about. We're all over the map, but we're coming back to it because I think it's cool.
Yeah,
So-
I'm actually gonna have to take off here in a minute.
Okay. We'll wrap quick. We'll do this link.
We got to hit this, and we got to look at the stock draft.
Stock draft, exactly. Yep. So this is Paladine AI. This is a Gremlin reusable mini bomber. So Siege sent this over when we were looking at the Anduril.
Yep. I cannot find a good entry for Paladine. I may just have to bite the bullet and just buy it market prices. I've been looking for an entry into Paladine for a while.
And this is publicly traded?
Yeah. PDYN.
Oh, he got this in a stock draft, didn't he?
Yep.
Well, there you go. Why is this a bad entry?
It always feels like it's got further down to go, or it was too high.
All right.
I don't know, Lack. It's vibes, dude. Lackability asks, what do you think is a good entry? It's like, I don't know. It's vibes. Vibes only.
Okay. Last thing we're gonna wrap up with is the stock draft, which I've got here. Shout out to Mr. Matt Hollis, and thank you very much for throwing together a little Claude website, helping us put together, nice tidy little results tab here. So this is as of the market close. Here is where we are. So Jackson is currently in the lead. Wait, is this right?
That can't be right.
No, this is the old link. Hold on. False alarm. He sent another one earlier today with the updated amounts.
I think he was still dealing with Koru having a split. Yeah, because Jackson had CoreWeave as his number one, and love to the guy, but
Okay, so this is the raw spreadsheet data. So we'll work on making this a little bit more appetizing to look at, because we've got 4 players on each side here. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's zoom in. We'll do one side at a time here. Woo! Oh my goodness.
That's aggressive.
Aggressive. A little too aggressive. Okay. So we'll start out with Jackson. Currently down in the hole by about 3%. Biggest loser, CoreWeave, which is also happens to be his 1.5x multiple. And then he's also got ASTS, which is actually going to be down more than 11% when the market opens tomorrow. Yep. And then Selena, who's in second place. Amazon had a very nice day, and she caught Meta. Meta. So Meta's been
CrowdStrike has been no joke either.
Yeah, dude, CrowdStrike's done very well. I think it's getting long in the tooth. That pick surprised me, but maybe the valuation will hold up. Koru. So this was the memory name. So SK Hynix goes public with their US ADR. Why did Koru get crushed like this? What happened?
The guys were telling me that they had a split today. So I don't think that price is that right? Hollis or whoever.
Let me check. Yeah, it says 2187. It's down 22% in 5 days. So yeah, that would check out.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's split adjusted. Interesting.
All right, awesome.
JP Morgan.
And then Qubits is rocking my world too.
Yeah.
But that's fine.
That's fine. Nothing to stress over. Sir One Lackability. He's got a few losers.
But he's got Paladine as his number 2.
Yeah, he does. And he just traded one of these, didn't he? Oh, yeah, this is the new one. So he had made some money on one of the names, IQMX, I think it was. And he traded it for Lunar. So, and he's currently down 4%. Got a few losers in here. The same quantum trade that you've got, right? I know IQ. Moving on over to numero 5, we have Mr. Hollis himself, who is actually leading the competition. So right now, Mr. Hollis, number 1 at 6.2% up on the AI infrastructure.
With his Google and Microsoft leading the
Google,
way.
Microsoft, and Copper. And a little bit of SoftBank, too.
Yep.
A little bit of SoftBank. And then continuing down, we've got Siege, who took an absolute bath on IBM so far.
And Voyager.
And and Voyager. Oh my goodness. But he's currently in last, down 5%. But I think he might have the most high beta portfolio.
Yeah, that one can bounce back more than anything.
Yeah, I would not count this one out. Hollis says most of his gains were from GFuzz. And he replaced this with, what was it, ACM? Or no, it was this one, wasn't it? Oh, no, it must have been VDC.
It was VDC.
Yeah, because
because I couldn't get a Google price on GFuzz.
Okay. Yeah, so he replaced it with VDC, which he's down just a little bit on. But he made this trade Monday or Tuesday. So we have a lot of players using their trades already.
Yeah, I mean, that's bold.
Oh, to update you guys on Selena. So we didn't even get over to Selena. So she immediately after the video ended and we went off live, she traded her Home Depot for Toast, which so far has been a wise trade. And so she did not realize any gains. That's why this column here is blank. She did not realize any gains on Home Depot because it happened right after we went off air. Where are we at here? I think we should be at, we're at mine. So as you might expect, mine is a little bit just more chill. I don't have a lot that's super big down or up except the ones at the bottom end of the range.
And those they don't hurt you as bad anyway.
No, they really don't hurt me. But I'm getting hurt less than a lot of other people. I mean, I'm basically flat here.
Yep.
So I'm pretty significantly behind Hollis and Selena, so we're all going to be playing catch up. But we're only a weekend, 49 weeks to go, something like that.
Yep.
And then June, I think June actually might be in the last, right behind Siege. The momentum portfolio has been getting wrecked. We hate to see it. So.
No, I mean, Junie's going to be just fine.
She'll be all right.
Yeah, Jackson, I'm more worried about your core weave than I am about June's Rocket Lab.
And June's taking on the chin. She did really good in the last one that we had last year.
Yeah.
That Siege ended up winning. Siege is the reigning champion. Well, honestly, we probably should have just given him first pick, but it is what it is. And you said you got to go? We're wrapping?
Yep, I got to wrap.
All right, cool. That's 2 hours, everyone. We are out of here. Money Mobsters 23, the Jordan number. Thanks, everyone, for joining. We do appreciate it. Ciao.
Bye, everybody.